Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 12th meeting of the Green Bay Plan Commission. Go ahead and start with a roll call. Chair Lisa Hanson, present. Vice Chair Jacob Miller, currently absent. Alder Jim Hutchinson.
Present.
Commissioner Darius Daniels is excused. Commissioner Ken Ravinsky is excused. Commissioner Emma Fullwilder.
Present.
And Commissioner Kelsey Lutzow.
Present.
Moving on to approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda for the Monday, August 12th, 2024 meeting of the Green Bay Plan Commission.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fullwilder, second by Alder Hutchinson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to approval of the minutes. Approval of the minutes from the Monday, July 22nd, 2024 meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Alder Hutchinson, second by Commissioner Fullwilder. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And then moving on to regular business. Now, item number 1 is a public hearing, and this public hearing has been properly posted and public notification has been published in the in the Green Bay Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, and whether you favor, oppose, or will be providing information in this matter. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Plan Commission in order to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. We will now open the public hearing on item number 1. Public hearing on a request to amend the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan for 1116 Hobart Drive from commercial future land use to medium high-density residential, submitted by Garrett Bader on behalf of MPGBI LLC property owner.
Thank you, Chair. So what you're seeing here are 2 parcels on Hobart Drive, where there's a request to have both a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezone. So they're 2 separate actions, but we'll look at the CPA here first. What you're seeing here is a view down Hobart looking west at the land, which is green space. To the left is a single-family home, and to the right is some commercial buildings that front along the West Mason frontage. This is the existing future land use for the site. You'll note that they are commercial land use. And then off to the southeast is a medium to high density residential. And along the West Mason frontage, you have commercial. As far as the zoning, which should be a separate action here later on request, that is currently C1 commercial zoning. Off to the south would be R1 low density residential, and off to the southeast is a PUD for a multi-family development that has been in place since the 90s. To give some context, this is the area along the West Mason frontage that we're reviewing. So as you'll see here, there are plenty of lots that happen to go down about 350 feet or so from the West Mason frontage. This whole area has, in the future land use and in the existing zoning, a commercial status. The difference between these 2 lots is that, unlike the rest of them, they're primarily deep and narrow lots. Whereas over here, you have the old Parker paint that right here that goes on about 100 feet from the frontage road, and the fronting is along Hobart itself, rather than the West Mason frontage, or along, say, Packerland back over here with the gas station, Papa John's, and then back this way with the drive just leading to the strip malls and the Hingo extension that we talked about earlier this year. So when reviewing this, as far as both request here for a change to allow for medium to high density residential, staff is reviewing what does this mean in the context of the area. So going back to this existing future land use, you'll note that there is this area across the street that was changed back in the 90s to medium high density residential. That is a 4-building multifamily complex across the street. the areas that we focused on here is the parcels themselves have not been developed since before 1978. If you look back to around 1960 areas, before West Mason and the corridor developed, there were some cottages out in this way, but the land definitely changed for the past 50 years. These two parcels did not. Whereas all the rest of them developed, these two, because they're most likely because they're fronting along Hobart, just never had that same commercial presence compared to what you would have along the frontage itself. Additionally, with planning practice, and I would say in part why this medium high density residential happens off to the east, you'd like to see a transition from a commercial use over to the lower density residential. This has just more of a full-on transition stop. There's not much of a transition for the parcel lines going back to our aerials. Now, it does exist. You'll see a lot of land where there are, say, forests or surface parking lots in the back of properties that have the, if you will, transition from commercial to the lower density residential back down this way. But those are, as mentioned before, long, deep lots. Whereas over here, you only have, these split up and divided, and so they've never gotten developed. And then, noting that across the way, this is actually C2 zoning over here, so more of an auto-focused along the frontage road, but then you have, in this area, you have the medium high density residential, in which you can see here on this aerial, there are 4 buildings in a multifamily complex across the street. Having that transition from commercial to the north, a higher intensity to the south of it, and then getting back into your more lower density single-family duplexes, things of that sort. So it's a 2-step process here. You're first considering the comp plan, and depending on how that goes, you're also considering a rezone, but the intent of the petitioner is saying here is to introduce a rezone that could accommodate multifamily. And we can discuss that more as far as what specifics you do in the rezone itself.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone who would wish to speak on this item? Just come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Sure, yeah. My name is Graham Huck. I actually live on the map there at 11501 Delray Drive. It's pretty close. I'm actually in support of this. I think this is, that thing's been sitting vacant for as long as I've been living there, for 13 years, as you just discussed. Sorry, I can't remember your name. I think having more access to housing in the area would be great in general. I don't know anything about developer or whatever plans are exactly there, but I like the general idea of it. It's all cool. I guess just my concern about adding more housing in the area is just the current lack of pedestrian safety in the area. There's one sidewalk on Hobart Street right now, and it's like halfway down, and on the other side of the street from where all the housing is, there's no crossing to that side, aside from way down at the south end of it. People frequently walk down this road all the time, and people also frequently speed down this road all the time since it's so wide. It's a straight shot from West Point to the frontage road. Lots of people access it. I would frequently like to be able to walk to the hospital or Chili's, which is over there, but it is so unsafe that it's impossible. I don't know if that's pertinent to anything we're discussing here, but I'd like to just raise that concern as somebody who lives in that area, and just tried to walk down that road many times. It's just not safe. So providing more people in that area, concern for their safety as well, I think it would just be a good idea to consider that. I don't know if this is the right people to even talk to about this, but
We will pass it on.
For sure. So that's all I wanted to bring up, really. I could go into further, but I feel like I just kind of getting redundant or into the weeds a little too much, but that's it.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 2. Consideration with possible action on a request to amend the Smart Growth 2022 Comprehensive Plan for 1116 Hobart Drive from commercial land, future land use to medium-high density residential, submitted by Garrett Bader on behalf of MPGBI LLC property owner.
Thank you. To note, there were some comments from the public. As noted in your staff report, there was one that was against it that was noted. Since the publishing of this report, we've had 2 more comments. One was in favor, one was against. I'm going to read a note that was put forth by Donna Dessert, who is the property owner to the south. She says, City of Green Bay Plan Commission, I am writing in regards to the proposed change in zoning for 1116 Hubbard Drive. I received your letter in hearing on Monday, August 12, 2024. I'm the owner at 1132 Hobart Drive, looking south of 1116. I have concerns about the development of this parcel as a medium to high density residential zone. The neighborhood on Hobart Drive is primarily single-family homes with children and elderly residents. These lots should be developed as single-family homes if they're being switched to residential use. There is no need for more rental units in this area. There are many apartments, including the huge Birchwood complex and many others along Packerland and Trojan Drive, not to mention the trailer park on Hobart Drive. Homeowners on Hobart have invested in our homes as a comfortable and safe place to live, raise our families, and retire with the knowledge that our investment in the home is, as an asset, is not jeopardized by other newer projects. I'm concerned the development of an apartment complex will impact my home's value negatively. Increasing the number of rentals with multiple vehicles, including visitors, will dramatically increase in traffic and noise on already very busy streets. Seniors and children are frequently walking, jogging, bike riding, etc. on the street and would be endangered by the increased traffic. Renters do not have the same stake in the neighborhood as homeowners do and can bring nuisance and police calls as evidenced by rentals down the street across from Trojan Drive. Non-homeowners have no investment in the community, and the developer and the owner of the complex will not be living in this community either. Homeowners need to feel safe and secure in their homes and be comfortable working and playing outside their yards. The property across the street from me is an eyesore. It does not fit the character of the neighborhood, which is open and obstructed by fencing and large concrete walls. It does not fit the neighborhood aesthetic at all, which includes smaller homes developed in the mid-century architectural style by Belanger in the early 1960s. My property would be most adversely affected by developing a large structure adjacent to my house. A development like the one across the street, which cuts off light and airflow to the house adjacent to the south, that is built up to the property line, will block sunlight and airflow from my house, which will be exacerbated with the addition of landscaping, large trees, further obstructing the light and airflow to my home. The section of Hobart was built on marshy land downhill from Packerland. There are still marshy creek area behind my home, up to Packerland, which breeds mosquitoes and attracts the homeless. My home in question at 1116 was filled, the property in question at 1116 was filled with dirt to elevate and drain to the south directly onto my property. If the structure and concrete drive and parking are built here, there'll be no open land to absorb rain and snow runoff. It will be consequently drain and flood my yard and flow further south to lower properties. This is not acceptable. We should not bear the burden of this because the developer wants to build an apartment building for financial gain. I sincerely hope you hear my concerns, which have been echoed by neighbors. We hope to be involved in what develops on the parcel and want to be an addition to our neighborhood in a positive way, enhancing the existing style. Sincerely, Donna J. Dessert. She's the property owner to the south. So I will note, as far as her concerns when it comes to elevations, it is higher along West Mason as it goes down this way. No matter what development happens here in the future, folks will have to meet the standards as far as stormwater for impacts on the neighbors. And as noted in a conversation then with Don and another neighbor who also was suggesting single-family residential on this property, going back to our discussion as far as what it means for zoning and comprehensive plan, to go from a commercial use directly to a single-family use in this area is something that we would avoid. We want to see a transition happen. And that it was noted both these folks that by right now, somebody could, in theory, come in and do a commercial development on these properties. But it hasn't because of the the way the street has been lined up as far as what it means for commercial businesses and the West Mason Frontage Road, and what it means for Hobart Drive and general connectivity in that area. So with that in mind, staff is recommending approval of a comp plan amendment to go from a classification of commercial to medium high density residential.
All right, thank you. So I mean, as far as that, the stormwater management, I mean, the site plan's gonna go over things like setbacks. Are there gonna be sidewalks there? I mean, they're not gonna be connected to anything, but, I mean,
Well, sidewalks, that would be a call to the Department of Public Works to install sidewalks. Usually it's neighbors requesting it. That goes through the traffic commission. Neighbors are assessed for the sidewalks, however.
Right.
It usually brings in some discussion, but well, you know, planning staff, we'd like to see the sidewalks everywhere and wish they would have been put in when it was developed. But it would not go in as part of this development.
right, just because there's no connectivity.
The site plan would have to note that there could be future development, connectivity happens. But that said, the site plan's focusing primarily on the site, the property itself, where the sidewalk would go out into the right of way.
Typically, when we do site plan review, if there is no sidewalk in the right of way, we make them show a dash line on the site plan showing where it could connect if there was something to connect to. So it's reserved so that if a multifamily were to go on this site, there would be pedestrian access coming out.
Right, and we're still looking at the future land use right now. I can get into a bit more specifics as far as what R3 zoning means for when, if this were to be approved, and for any R3 site, what it means for a site plan review in the future for any site plan, let alone one that's here at this property.
Well, because at this point, the comp plan does not have any kind of transition area. It goes right from commercial to single family.
Yep.
So, I mean, this development actually is almost providing a buffer. Now, I'm confused about Donna's property being in red on the comp plan.
Right, so going back to what you had, you take this line as far as where all the subdivision happening back over here on the West Mason frontage, they all go back to pretty much the same straight line. It just so happens when you get to this grouping, it's not as staggered. So this went down 350, so it's different with the zoning. So the zoning calls for, and Donna's property is zoned as the house is being used.
Okay,
It's a
it is
single
zoned
family home.
as-
It's zoned as
okay.
a low density residential, and single families are permitted use. It just so happens that the comp plan, and mind you, in the comp plan, those lines aren't
It
fully in place.
was a pick
Yeah.
pick above or pick below,
Right.
and you pick below,
Right,
kind
they're
of.
kind of more, what do they call them?
Ideas,
The blobs, where they
Yeah.
just kind
Right.
of go over the area.
Okay.
and now that we have GIS, you
Right,
pick an area where you go to.
okay. Any further discussion?
We are an actionable.
This is actionable.
Present, by the way, here.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if we needed to note that as far as, yeah. Vice Chair Miller, present.
Move to approve.
I'll second that. Motion by Vice Chair Miller, second by Commissioner Fullwilder. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead with the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and then that will move forward, comes the next city council meeting.
Yeah, Walt will actually move on to that one. Because it's a CPA, it has to have a 40-day notice for the common council.
Okay.
So for that, it means it will go on to the September meeting of the common council, not the August meeting.
Was it like September 17th or something?
That does sound right, yes, because we meet on September 9th, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so September 17th.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Moving on to item number 3, which is a public hearing, and this public hearing has been properly posted and published in the Green Bay Press Gazette. The Plan Commission is interested in hearing public comments on the subject agenda items. We invite your comments and ask that after your name has been called, you state your address, whether you represent a group or association, and your comments or concerns. We also ask that you confine your testimony to facts related to the proposal at hand and avoid repetitive testimony. City staff will provide a presentation during the public hearing, and questions raised by the public may be asked, but they will not be answered by staff until the upcoming actionable item. You must be recognized by the Plan Commissioner to speak, and please address your comments to the chair. We'll now open the public hearing on item number 3. Public hearing on a request to rezone 1116 Hobart Drive from C1 General Commercial to R3 Varied Density Residential District, submitted by Garrett Bader on behalf of MPGBI LLC, property owner.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just get into a bit more of the zoning requirements for a site like this. Could a site like this that's 1.15 acres handle multifamily? The answer is yeah, because multifamily being a property that has 5 or more units on it. And the site itself, as far as what you could do, it is possible you could do upwards of about 33 or 34 units with 1 bedroom. If you just found a way to make all the math and setbacks and everything work, you could do that. That's going based off of what your overall acreage on the site and how many square feet you need to have in the R3 code. Doesn't mean it will necessarily be that high. You need to keep in mind the impervious surface on the property is a max of 70%. The property is adjacent to a single family home, and so with that you need to have a 25-foot buffer from that. You need to get the proper amount of parking for where this units is, and so with all those numbers coming together, you got to make your ratio actually happen. I'm just noting if you could somehow find a way to make this work, you could go as high as that on the site. It's definitely enough to do 5 units on this property itself. The developer gave some examples of what they could be doing from a project over at Kaukauna of now no actual site plan to review, just some concepts of what they might want to do on the property. A building like this would be acceptable within the rules of R3 zoning, so with having detached stalls in this case. So the site itself can fit pretty well with R3 zoning.
Okay. All right, so now with this public hearing, we're looking to hear from anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Is there anyone wishing to speak? Let the record reflect that no one came forward and this public hearing is now closed. Moving on to the corresponding actionable item, item number 4, consideration with possible action on a request to rezone 1116 Hobart Drive from C1 General Commercial to R3 Varied Density Residential District, submitted by Garrett Bader on behalf of MPGBI LLC, property owner.
Thank you, Chair. And staff does recommend the zoning change from C1 to R3.
Do you have any questions for staff or discussion?
If not, move to approve.
All right. I've got a motion by Vice Chair Miller and a second by Alder Hutchinson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead with a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that will go through September as well, or?
Correct, yes.
Okay, September
Not all at the same
17th.
time.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right, moving on to informational. Item number 1, Director's Report.
All right, so you should have the development tracker in your packet. A couple items I'll hit on tonight. I might have mentioned this last time, I don't recall. Items 1 and 2, the Monroe and Chicago RDA site, as well as the 200 North Monroe site. Those are properties the RDA own. We've got RFPs out right now, and they're actually due back at the end of this month. So we hope to have some exciting proposals for consideration here in the near future on those 2 sites. Item number 4, the JVS site. We had taken planned unit developments through here, this body, a few months ago. Just wanted to share that project is moving forward. At the Common Council meeting here this last month, Common Council approved the funding to proceed on all the public utilities and roadways in that area. We're currently working with 2 developers, Revel 49 and Gorman and Company, on the developments, housing developments. So those are underway. We hope to bring back a development agreement with those developers here in the next few months. Some other updates to share. We are working on creating 4 new TIF districts this year. That's a lot for us. Southwest Woods, including this area that we're considering tonight for rezone. That is would be going in the new TID 26. So we had JRB, the Joint Review Board for TIF creation. That was held today. We're going to discuss it tomorrow at RDA, and then have another JRB meeting here next month for that TID to be created, as well as a new TID for the new land project, 221 Cherry Street, which you might recall. And the third one is the JBS site. And then the fourth one, we're looking at creating a new TIF district to help support the public market. So that is still being developed, but we'll be taking that through probably later here this month, or actually early in September. Do you have any questions I can answer about development?
I haven't seen them doing some work on the Baylight building. It looks like windows and
Yeah,
doors and
Oh,
things of,
The second
Skylights.
story housing.
is that all the apartments in there? I saw a video somebody posted and I asked the person, I'm like, is this the inside of that? And then they didn't answer me. I'm like, I'm not being weird. I'm really interested in your apartment. Is this the apartment or not? So they have skylights above.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep, they
I'm
installed
pretty sure
some
that's-
skylights.
Yep, that's the Gateway Collective project
Okay.
on the second floor.
Lots of skylights.
Yeah.
I can see.
Green Bay Housing Authority supported that project with some funding.
It's in London, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right.
David, did you have anything for the director's report for comp plan or anything else?
Sure, I'll be brief. So we've been doing lots of neighborhood district meetings, and our vice chair graciously volunteered for one at Astor, is that Astor one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. so
Okay,
that was a good one.
I hope you guys did better on the other ones.
Unfortunately, we did not do, we did
Well,
better on
great
some,
turnout
but
now.
a lot worse than
Yes.
others. But we're still going through it. Those, there is one this week, one or two next week, and then one more the week following. And then all of the public input should be completed. These are specific for the neighborhood planning districts. We've gotten massive feedback on the city overall, somewhere around 600 plus surveys, 150 or so comments on our Map Social. Got 1,300 at all of our other outreach that we've done throughout the summer. So we've gotten lots of comments. The consultants are digesting it right now and kind of putting it all together. We had a advisory group meeting last Wednesday, their fourth meeting, and they kind of gave the blessing so far. They've still got a week and a half to comment on a basic vision, which is a half page, vision for the city, and then a preliminary list of goals and objectives. So staff has to look at those yet in detail, and the advisory is still making comments. And then they had a very preliminary future land use map, which is sort of the big guts to a comp plan. And so we're reviewing that right now as well.
Is there a way to follow along with that, those things, or is any of that public, I guess?
It's public from the advisory committee, but yeah, it's not online yet. So it will be, and hopefully, if time allows, I'd like to bring a land use map here for you guys to take a look at as well. Even though you'll see it later, everything that comes through the comp plan comes through the plan commission. But if we have a small agenda like this one, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
We could have looked at it, but hopefully in a future meeting. That's kind of where we are now. We're a little bit off track, probably 4 or 5 weeks, but not bad at all for a 2-year project that has this much public input. And really, the public input is what caused it. It's finding the places to have the meetings, advertising, trying to get as much interaction as possible. So, yeah, it's going good.
All right, excellent. Date of the next meeting is September 9th, 2024.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Miller, second by Commissioner Fullwilder. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good night.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Under half an hour.
I was really going for 20 minutes, but I'm hungry.
Same.
I got